Hey everybody, how you doing? Ah!
What's up again, man? I just left my buddy's shop. I thought of this other idea. I was talking to my last little whatever there. I was talking about truck versus car and accidents, and it made me think of another one that I get a lot that I'm having to discuss with certain friends of mine, and that's fast cars versus crotch rockets. And it's like, you know, a number of my friends, we've all owned crotch rockets or sport bikes, whatever you want to call them, and like even like a few of my very close friends, we all started at the same time. We had 600s and we all went to thousands about the same time too. So we all we have a pretty good idea. We used to about how fast they are, you know, and we used to go out to like some of the car meetup nights and bike nights all the time, and there'd be like some crazy ass races we used to see all the time back then. I'm like, fuck me. That was loud. I mean, like we would see all sorts of crazy, super ridiculous, high-powered cars race each other, you know, and it's kind of fun because on your sport bike you could follow these cars. Like you could just like kind of, you know, hang back right behind the race and watch the race, you know, first person. I have to watch it like on some video that someone made later on. Like, you know, you could just watch that shit live because you're, you know, especially when you have 1,000, it easily hung with most even very extreme cars. You know, it had no problem hanging with them. I don't know how many like races I witnessed where I would just stay in 6th gear on the highway and just roll on throttle and just hang with some pretty bad cars. You know, it was no big deal. At most, you might have to downshift 2 or 3 times, you know. And they'd always race from highway punches. There's really, really high-powered cars. The shit ain't like Fast and the Furious, you know. They start getting over 600 horsepower. They don't want to race them from a dead pool, you know. It's way too fucking hard. They spin the shit out of the tires for like 10 miles. So, you know, a lot of them were highway punches, like 60 mile an hour, 7 mile an hour hits. And you get on the highway and just watch them go. But my point being, I know pretty well like how a bike stacks up to a car and like a horsepower wise to a crotch rocket, you know. Like, and it seems like I have a lot of my friends that like to believe that their, you know, 400 horsepower cars can take a 600 and can hang with 1,000. It always seems like I'm getting videos from these guys too, like on Facebook or text messages, like, you gotta check out this video. See, watch this. It'll be like some guy, like, you know, raping on a bike with his, you know, like his Camaro or his GTO or something. And you're just like, okay. Like, see that, man? He barely even has any mods. That bike's got exhaust on it and shit. It's like, and you gotta go, alright, hang on, here's the deal. Here's the deal in case you don't know. A lot of times, when you see a crotch rocket going full throttle racing, they could be half-assing it pretty big. There's a fucking Beamer dealer around here, isn't there? I think I already passed it. It's like where that building is, but back a few. It's like a BMW, fucking Ducati, MV Agusta. They sell all of them there. All shit I can't afford. But anyway, so anyway, yeah, I always get like, you know, I always get this stuff, and my friend, well, especially two of my friends, they always seem like they're going and telling me stories about how they were on the highway and some kid pulled up on a 600. They always mention the mods on the sport bikes, like and he had fucking exhaust on it too, man. And we raced, and I fucking totally pulled him. It's like I hear this all the time from these guys, and I'm just like, you know, he probably wasn't full on. That's what I was saying about bikes before. Yeah, like a lot of times in these videos or in these stories, I can about guarantee you the kid on the crotch rocket was not all the way on it or wasn't taking it to redline. And everyone will swear they were. They're like, yeah, I totally heard him. Yeah, he was fucking rapping that thing out. That thing, crotch rockets sound that way, you know, they really do. It'll sound like you're giving them the fucking beans when you're shifting at like 11,000 RPMs out of like a 16,000 RPM redline. For the most part, you won't really notice it over the sound of your own car, you know. Or kids will be taking it. They'll be taking it all the way up to redline, but, you know, they're like 8 throttle and shit, you know. They're just fucking, I don't know, people puss out on bikes a lot more. I know. Shit, I was there at one point, you know. It took me a while before I could, like, comfortably rack it open, but I was pretty nuts by the end of me owning first someone stole my R1. I used to whack that thing open, just fucking. I used to take it through the gears pretty hard. Anyway, so point being is like, I don't know, I get a lot of people always telling me like this. Their car will hang with, and I can give you some kind of rough numbers here. If your car makes, first of all, a 600cc sport bike's going to top out between like 150 and 160. So if you race them and you eventually got the pull on them later on, then yeah, they were fucking topped out. Like, you know, if you're like hitting like 5th and 6th gear in your big V8, you know, 400 some odd horsepower car, and then you're pulling them, well, it's not really a race anymore. They were out of you know, steam, RPM, and they topped the thing out. If you like 1,000 for instance will top out, and most people, even the people that will dog on 1,000, won't take them much past 160, 170, but most of them at least will indicate into the 180s. I don't know how fast they're really going, because you're just going off bike speedos at that point, which are kind of known to be inaccurate beyond those speeds. But, you know, anyway, for a car to actually reasonably hold with like a 600, it needs to be, you know, obviously not a super heavy car, you know, like probably like less than 4,000, you know, 3,500 pounds or so. And it needs to probably have between like 500 and 600 horsepower. Seriously, like, to fucking really take someone who's digging on a bike hard and actually giving it all it's got. That's just the truth of it. And for it to beat 1,000, like, and most of those cars will eventually beat the 600, because I said they'll go higher speeds and the 600 will top out earlier. But to beat 1,000, you're talking more like a 7 to 8, 900 horsepower car. You really are, like, on the street. And that car will always eventually end up taking the crotch rocket, because the crotch rocket will most definitely top out before that car will. But I'm talking like realistically from like a 60, 70 mile an hour punch, a 1,000cc sport bike, if the guy actually is doing everything right, then he'll do it. And people won't believe that, because there's so many videos of guys that aren't doing it. They're like in 5th or 4th gear, 3rd gear. If you're doing 70 miles an hour on a 1,000cc sport bike, one of the modern ones from the last 7, 8 years, you need to be in fucking 2nd gear. The bike will top out in 1st gear. I know from my roommates owning a Gixxer 1000, me owning an R1, and my other roommate having a 10R, they all top out about 100 miles an hour in 1st gear. Now the reason I would say it's 70 not to start in 1st gear, it's just going to do a wheelie. 2nd gear, even then, it's very likely to do a wheelie, but if you have half a brain, you can control it. The person that actually is ballsy enough to stick it down in that gear and give it, you know, all it's got. Look how they fucked up the minis. God, they look like shit. It's like they got pregnant or bloated, all fucking fat. God, they ruined that car. Probably for fucking Americans too. Oh, you won't like it because we can't sit in the back. There is no back, bitch. It's not supposed to have a back seat. It's fucking mini. Anyway, sorry. Anyway, point being is for someone who actually will dog on it as hard as they can, give it everything it's got, your car's gonna have to be pretty fucking out of control to fucking hang with them. You just gotta think of the power to weight ratio of the bike. That's pretty ridiculous alone. I could tell you, like, some of the shit I played with, one of the only cars I ever fucked with on the highway that hung with me, this, mind you too, this wasn't until we were going, like we started around 60, 70, and he didn't, like, catch back up to me till we were doing, I don't know, like, look at this thing. You can live in here. Here are bubbles. You can ask for help in here. No, like, fuck, where did I lost my place? What was I saying? I don't want to walk in just yet. It's going to be loud in there. But, no, if I was just saying, yeah, if the guy's really dog on it, then it's going to take a pretty mean car. Oh, yeah, I was saying that, an R1 that when I was on my R1, I raced a guy in a Z06 Corvette, one of the older ones, the C5 body style. And I don't know, I didn't get to ask him what was done to it. I didn't know what was going on with it. But I'm pretty sure it was like a built stroker motor, probably running like nitrous or maybe even something else. But we hit it, and I was pulling away from him, no problem at first, from 70. About the time we hit about 150, 160, he was right behind me. Now, he never did pass me, though. He just stayed kind of right there. And we both shut off around 170, 180. That's like one of the fastest cars I've like ever seen when I was on my bike, and it couldn't beat me. Oh, and I raced the 360 Medina on the highway, and I was putting bus links on him with my R1. Fucking bus links, it was crazy. So, just keep that in mind for all you car guys out there who really think a bike ain't got shit against your your GTO or whatever the fuck you got. Really, get out there and race somebody who actually knows what they're doing. You'll be pretty upset.